Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's pick up where we left off. Though I'm quite sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with the pawnbroker's murder. The disc. Oh, okay, now we're going to talk about the disc. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. The redemption ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. I mean, the disc was in the coat, so it wasn't really the disc.
Did I hear you correctly, sir? McGilded, you say, the famous London philanthropist? Who perished in this very courtroom 2 months ago after being acquitted of a distinctly messy murder?
Yes, my lord, the one and the same.
Good lord, Mr. GRAYDON, are you saying that Mr. Gilded and yourself were acquainted?
Yes, that's correct.
Order! Order! Well, I certainly didn't expect to hear the name uttered here in my courtroom again.
According to what Gina told us, the disc was placed in the pawn on the fateful night 2 months ago. McGilded himself gave instructions to deposit it at WINDIBANKS. It's funny that Mr. GRAYDON here is claiming that the disc belongs to him then, isn't it? In all likelihood, he's lying. So appeared that afternoon at WINDIBANKS in order to get his hands on McGilded's disc for some reason.
Counsel, you commence your cross-examination, please.
Alright, the disc. There's a note on the disc saying for McGilded, but the item belongs to me. Would you care to explain how this belongs to you? As you will observe, communications officers such as myself commands a fine salary.
You are certainly exquisitely dressed, sir.
So you see, I have little need to make use of the services provided by a pawnbrokery trade. However, I did once find myself in difficulties having misplaced my purse whilst on an errand. Which is why I pawned my fine black overcoat to the broker in question. You claimed that was your overcoat. Obviously, and in my haste I clean forgot. The music box disc was in his pocket. And yeah, there's a note on that that reads for McGilded. I am a collector of rare and unusual music box discs. I first met Mr. McGilded at the gentleman's club in the city and was interested to discover that he shared my penchant in that area.
So the disc in question?
It's a pre-production sample. I promised to let Mr. McGilded hear it. But then you forgot that it was in the pocket of the overcoat that you were forced to pawn. Yes, exactly. Tina didn't mention any of that in her testimony 2 months ago, did she? No, because Mr. McGilded had threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Which means if we dig too deeply here, it's going to expose Gina's perjury. Oh dear, it's complicated, isn't it? Let's leave it alone for the time being. Oh, we gotta be careful here. The redemption's ticket was stolen from me by the accused, that filthy gutterling, on the day in question. So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of my danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequents, Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would say that stands, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokers that day, prepared with all the information you need to identify the defendant. You were looking for her. That's what brought you to WINDIBANKS. Get your hands on Mr. McGilded's disc.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font, it seems. Nonsense.
I concur with the prosecution. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way, is that clear?
Yes, my lord. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be. I proceeded at once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article. Have you ever been to Windibanks before? Only once for the purposes of pawning something, but like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. But when you noticed that the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her, is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice it at first, of course, such is the art of a pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbroker at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police. Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has connection to McGilded as evidence. Oh?
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Inspector? What do you mean? The last remark Mr. GRAYDON made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave it alone. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative or secrets? Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago, a man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life, yet he had a dark side too. Where are you going with this, Van Zeeks? I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? That's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presumed. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. The bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's pawn prints first. What's all this about? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zeeks here. Well, it would appear that the inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. GRAYDON, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that night.
Hold it!
But perhaps you've seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh. A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article in the shelves was common or garden, brick or brick. In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. There was no more in the shop that night than as I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of Mr. McGilded left in the shop that night. Nothing that this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. Was there anything else? I can't quite remember. We got the music disc. I don't think the stereoscope was anything of belonging. Was there anything in the photo? I don't remember anything really belonging to him. Let's see. A gun belonging to the victim. We have the photographs still? The cat ones? No, we don't. Let's see. 10 shillings, April. Can't really read it too well. Oh, wait, there we do have this photo. I wonder if this photo has anything to do with it. This is an adorable little cat. I think it looks like a... what guy? I always thought that cats like to curl up inside the heated kotatsu blanket when it snowed. Maybe British cats are different. Actually, now we have both pictures. I can have another go at viewing them as stereoscopic image. So I need to cross my eyes and try to get the two cats to merge in the middle as one. Such a hard thing to do. Whoever thought of this in the first place must be staring long. Why did I do that? Alright, let's observe this. What? Oh yeah, article deposit in one small box. Okay, so there is something else. There's a small box. I forgot about it. I wonder if that's really true. Bruno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. Oops, I actually skipped that. Magilda slipped the disc into his pocket and had it deposited at WINDIBANKS. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it. What that witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by Mr. McGilden. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. But Gregsy being very strange about all this. There must be a reason, that for sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. GRAYDON is lying in his testimony. Alright, I think we know. Should be the last one. I think we can get to the last one. Let's see. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. Alright, let us... Actually, I need a save. I haven't even saved from the last part Where is it? From my last part I recorded. Because you never know. I'm playing on PC, and this game could crash at any second. Alright, I made enough saves. Alright, enough hold up. Let us present this pawnbroker ticket.
Objection!
This desk was deposited at WINDIBANKS on Magnus McGilda's instruction. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it yourself.
Objection! Conjecture again, and in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbroker that night.
Objection!
Sorry, my learned friend. But that's not true.
What?
Mr. McGilda had another article in pawn at WINDIBANKS. As this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. There were two articles belonging to McGilda in WINDIBANKS pawnbrokery, and the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers.
This is the second ticket, is it?
What had the man deposited? The article description reads, one small box.
A rather vague description, it seems to me.
Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbrokery with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd. Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point.
Indeed, the witnesses makes this all argument.
So that means that for some reason, this GRAYDON fellow needed the small box that very night, doesn't it?
Objection! It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Can you be a little more less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks?
I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from the WINDIBANKS pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What?
Good gracious!
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
What prints?
These prints were taken from one of the detection security cameras.
Ah, Hurley's red-handed recorders again.
As previously explained, using plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in 2 locations.
One was set to capture the court where the Windibanks received its customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed on sale for forfeit.
According to the information on this ticket, Mr. McGilded's small box had been forfeited already, 2 days before the incident, at 9 p.m. on April 13th, to be precise. Which means it would have been on the shelves of forfeited items on the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 p.m. on the 15th of April. The victims only had a very small shop, it would appear. And then we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident.
Oh, it seems we're gonna have to use a stereoscope again.
I see, so we have 2 pictures to compare. I thought I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we considered theft as one of the possible motives in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector? Yes, sir. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the odds conclusion is that exactly the same number of items present.
Oh, my throat is hurting now. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbroker on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. I don't believe it. If I could just have shown that he'd stolen Mr. McGilded's box, I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Bruno? I've been thinking. I wonder if these 2 photographs really are exactly the same. What? Ooh, we'll be able to see if something has moved.
So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that, in fact, of the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion?
I don't know. Could there really be some hidden discrepancy in these 2 photographic prints? Oh, we can use a piece of evidence. What, use a piece of evidence with the photos? I think that's what it might be saying, because the one I want to use is the stereoscope. Let's save really quick. Gosh, I got a bit of the sniffles right now. So my voices aren't exactly as to what I desire. Before I give you my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something if I may.
Try something? What do you mean, counsel?
I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy.
I'm not entirely sure I follow. Which precise piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the 2 prints?
Well, this one right here. I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the 2 prints stereoscopically. Oh, yes, you got the bug at last. You can't resist it, can you? You got the cross-eyed compulsion. Juror number 3, what is the prize? Come on, Runo. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. Alright, there we go. Now we look through the eyepiece. Wow, that one stands out so much. Wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between the 2 prints.
What? You must identify the location for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
I mean, it's quite obvious. Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
I mean, I could see it, but I didn't really need to use the stereoscope. When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically, A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me... Wait. Unbelievable. I like he's just gonna cross his eyes.
By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary.
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilden's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelf.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilden is in fact...
Yes, the very same small box that is identified in those photographic prints.
Objection! Mindless guesswork. What if it was?
So a box was moved on the shelf, nothing was stolen, which means, quite simply, there was nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, Mr. McGilden's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is that the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine the box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelf in Windibanks as we speak. That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial.
The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zeeks. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. The small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
Ooh, we're slowly getting somewhere. A lot of back and forth, though. A lot of displeased faces that we have here, I see. Is this going to be a to be continued? Oh no, it's just going to fade out.
We should have a report within the half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce, how disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen, a Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. But this witness' intent was not to steal the article belonging to McGilden from the pawnbrokery. Oh wait, was to steal. Did I say was not to steal? I misspoke. Yet, common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly. It would be beyond observed to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilden perished 2 months ago immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society, his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. These articles this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me.
You know, that doesn't make a rather lot of sense.
It's not that if it was gold and jewels, is it? Though the goddess knows. Mr. McGilden was rich. But if you can't deposit cash at pawnbrokery, I couldn't read that fast enough.
Prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its arguments. To explain what possible sign significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have.
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disco box are in any tangible way related to the case?
Well, this is gonna be hard. Hard choice. What's the matter, Runo? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, and we know that disc is significant, even if we don't know why. But if we explain all of that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that Mr. McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false arguments. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. Like, Guinea? Can it be that Lord Van Zeeks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe this could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, what? What do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always wanted, Runo? Always say, Runo. Sooner or later, the truth comes out every time. Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGill deposited with Mr. Windibanks. Something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could be critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Oh, this is a hard choice. Really it is. Do we leave it? I think we're just gonna have to say to testify. She was threatened. Let's say. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Oh, what a proposal, counsel.
While the court awaits the arrival of McGill's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to witness the stand.
The defendant? To what end?
It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windibanks by Mr. McGilded, my lord. Mr. Strahd has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all.
Well, things are becoming interesting.
I presume you will consider the implications of the testimony you're proposing, in particular the impact it would have on the accused standing and indeed of your own.
I have. Lord Van Zeeks, would you care to explain the last remark?
The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear the accused herself.
Right. We have no objections. So the court will now hear the testimony of defendant Miss Gina Lestrade.
Alright, we're going to stop this part here. So, thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and until then, I will see you all later. Goodbye.